You can't hold that face.
I'm not falling for it.
You're not falling for what?
He's videotaping. He's videotaping the honey.
Granny?
What?
Come in. Okay. Obviously, I'm shutting the door, Thor.
Obviously, I'm shutting the door.
All right. What are you doing on the eve of your 90th birthday? Stop bumping the damn table.
Trying to ignore everybody.
What have you learned in 89, almost 90 years?
Apparently, I haven't learned much.
What do you hope to learn?
What do I hope to learn?
Get off my chair.
You're bumping. Okay, start over, Dad. Start over. She's being interrogated.
What is wrong with you people?
Oral history, Granny. In oral history, there's specific
over,
questions that you get asked, and then you kind of lay it on, you know.
Granny's working on her
Nobody
speech
touch
for tomorrow.
the table.
Granny's working on her speech for tomorrow.
I am not making a speech tomorrow. Besides that,
Stop.
I feel
touching
as
my
though
chair.
this great event sounds more like a wake than a celebration for a birthday.
Why?
It sounds like they're writing my obituary.
What? Who?
Well, it just so happens that you have a lot of wonderful things, and we're all here to, hang out with you. So
What do you mean I have a lot of wonderful
to
things?
say and to share.
You have a grand story. Actually, the other night I was telling the story about the wagon train from New Mexico to the Crazy Mountains.
Were you on that wagon train?
Yes.
90 years ago.
Why do you ask such ridiculous questions?
Can you prove you were not on that train?
Where were you at Alibi?
Where were you on this day? 89 and...
Well, how long was Granny Brannon in Montana before she had Gami?
Good girl.
Let's see. 3 years.
Okay.
And what's different about the Crazy Mountains than most other mountains?
Well, the Crazy Mountains are special. There's no other mountains like them.
Well, that settles it.
That settles it.
Don't they run some other way than other mountains?
Nah, they pretty much stand still.
Well, there is a little indication
No, they
that
don't stand still.
they were volcanic at one time because the granite lies on top of the mountains. The granite is on top. The granite's not supposed to be on top. Normally, it is not on top. There's shale on top,
Granite's the bottom.
and there's a lot of granite on there. Big boulders of granite.
Do you know? Have you climbed on those boulders?
I've tried to climb over the blasted things.
Have you been to the top of Big Timber Peak?
No, I have not.
Sweetgrass Peak?
Nope.
Not much
It's
of a
not
hike.
too late. You can do
I
it.
do not climb peaks. Linda climbed Big Timber. Big Timber. The Big Timber. You know, the one, the tall one, the biggest one?
Right. So now I know where Barbara gets it.
No, not Barbara. Linda. Linda did.
Right. I ask about you and you start talking about your children.
We were talking about climbing mountains. And Linda, of course, lived at sea level. And so they climbed up, was it Crazy Peak?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And of course, the altitude kind of got, and so when she got to the top, she didn't even want to come down. You know, you get this altitude sickness. They practically had to drag her halfway down.
She got euphoric.
Is that what it's called? Euphoric? Yeah.
Granny, what was your school like when you were younger, when you were in
6th grade.
grammar school.
Did you go to school?
I went to school and I was very smart.
How many kids were in your school?
One time there was 6 for about 2 months. The rest of the time there was just 4.
Pencil.
That was my first grade. My first grade teacher was from Oklahoma.
Oh no.
And she tried to teach me to read. We had phonics in those days. So we had a word that said, she said, now what is this word? I don't know. It's pencil. Can't you say pencil? So I'd look at her very carefully and I'd say, pencil. No, pencil. And I'd say, oh, pencil. And finally she picked up a pencil and said, what is this? I said, it's a pencil. Well, why didn't you say so? And she spanked me. She turned me upside down and spanked me.
Oh my goodness.
You were messing with her.
And then what happened when you went home and told Gami?
Did you get spanked again for being bad in school?
No, and the boys that were older, 5th and 6th graders, they were kind of upset about that, so they acted up. So she spanked them too. And one of them tried to cry, and the rest of them went home singing, "Old Lady Teapot, lick dust, Old Lady Teapot, lick dust." So when Old Lady Teapot decided she was going to quit teaching because her husband had spent a lot of time in town chasing waitresses, so she was going to quit. She had a contract, and you're not supposed to break your contract, but Daddy wasn't there. He's the clerk of the board. But she told her, I'm quitting and I'm leaving. And he says, thank God.
So then what happened?
Wait a minute, hold it.
My earliest memory?
Yeah, what's the thing you remember earliest?
I'd have to stop and think about it.
Jack?
I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time.
Didn't you ride the bear and kiss it and stuff?
No, I did not ride a bear. I didn't come close to bears. I was scared of everything.
I got a picture of you reaching out and touching a bear.
Not me. That was Jack. I was afraid. I was always scared. I was always scared of everything. So I would get very brave. We had a light in the kitchen, but I would run to the bedroom where the bedroom was, and I'd run clear in there. Then I'd run back, and the next time I wouldn't run quite as far. And I kept on until I was too afraid to even move because I scared myself. Isn't that silly?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're, how old were you when Jack died?
Well, when Jack died, he was 12 or 13, and I was 6 years younger.
Can you tell Adrian who Jack is?
Jack was my oldest brother, and when he was born, there was nobody there. It was born, and there was so much snow on the ground that you could hardly get any place. And my daddy was the one who acted as the doctor, and he'd never even seen a goat born. Mother knew about it. And so when it sounded like Mother was going to have a baby, Ernest, as Mother said, got on his old long-legged horse and rode down to what's called a ranch, 2 miles down the road, to try to get Granny to come up. But Tui came up. She was only 2 years older than Mother. And by the time she got there, Daddy had already delivered Jack. Daddy, of course, later on, when I had my own kids, says, "Oh, there's nothing to having a baby. All you do is put some wood on the stove because you know it's cold outside, and you wipe the sweat off of your brow, and you put some more wood in the stove because you know it's cold outside, and you read a little bit in the book, and put some more wood in the stove. There's nothing to it." And when Jack was born, he apparently was, I know he was preemie, but I don't know how much or what, and he was very small. It was just a tiny little thing. And Granny would hold him in her hand, and legs would come up about here. Mother, of course, thought he was enormous. But when he was 12 months old, he weighed 12 pounds. So you can see he wasn't very big.
Wow, that's very small.
That's very small, yes.
She was probably like 7 months pregnant.
We don't. My father wrote me some interesting stuff. My father scribbled a lot of notes about his background. And one thing he said that was so cute, it's in the letter I have here. It says, don't make any mention of dates.
Right. Well, that's so. Then when he was 1, he was 12 pounds.
But of course, my dad came from England, and he had no idea. He was a complete greenhorn in this country, and got in that rough country, these cowboys and things. But he was tough. He could handle it. I think what was very interesting was when he went back to England. I think it was, anyway, Lyle was just a baby at the time he went to England. And his one brother would refer to him, he says, "You Yankees." I think it kind of jarred Daddy a little bit because I think he kind of thought he was still English, but Tom was including him with Yankees, "You Yankees." I think it kind of jarred him a little bit. And when he went back to England after being, in 1927, after he'd been gone from England probably 15 years or something, and he was looking for the address where his sister lived in London, so he saw a passing Bobby and asked him where such and such a street was. And the Bobby looked at him and says, "No such street." Well, Daddy knew there was because he'd gotten letters. So finally he wrote it down, and of course then the guy pronounced it the way that English pronounce it. No one would believe that he actually had been born and raised in that country. And of course he did ask Ernest once if he thought that he would lose his accent and speak like everyone else. And Ernest told him probably wouldn't. But he tried very hard. Most people didn't know a few people knew he was from England. And of course, we used to tease him once in a while when we got older, and we'd say, "Daddy, say car." And he'd say, "Car." "No, not car, say car." So finally he'd say, "Car." But he couldn't say car. That R was just something beyond. He just couldn't handle it. It was car.
How tall was he?
Daddy? Let's see, 5'7", something like that.
Oh, it's short.
How tall was Stanton Brennan?
Stanton Brennan? He was a shrimp. He wore a size 4 boy's boot.
Wow.
Whoa.
They say he wouldn't have broken 5 feet if they put a cigarette paper under his leg.
But he was tough.
Yeah, who is he to you?
Her grandfather. Gami's dad.
Yeah?
Tommy's dad?
And so apparently when he rode into Golden, New Mexico, I guess the girls kind of giggled because they thought he looked so funny. He was so short and little.
Tommy's dad, you said?
Granny, Loopy. Loopy and her sisters thought he was funny looking.
Where was he from?
Let's see, he was born in Wisconsin. He was born in Wisconsin. It's interesting because his father had gone to Wisconsin to work in mines up there. And his